Danna Bell, and I work at the Library of Congress. It's called Warm Up America, and it's a national organization that asks people to knit squares that are 7 by 9 inches using an acrylic or washable yarn. And the squares are sewn together to make blankets for the homeless, for children, for people who need to be warm. And it happens that it's based out of Texas, so we're able to this year take them right to Warm Up. Last year when we did it in Washington, D.C., we had one person who did a full blanket because we had a lot of time ahead, and we had 70 squares that we were able to submit to Warm Up. We sent out an announcement to through the various SAA lists and put something on the blog in the hopes that people would bring yarn from their own stashes. I've been knitting, I guess more than 20 years now. I didn't learn until I was in my mid-late 30s, even though I'd been trying to learn for years. You have to hit the right teacher, and I hit someone who knew that who, in talking to me, knew that I crocheted, and she taught me how to knit using what's called the continental style, and I picked it up in 5 minutes. The continental style is instead of let's see if I can do it this way. Most people knit American, where they wrap the yarn around the needle and then do something like this, which is very hard for me to do. Whereas with continental, you're literally going through the needle and wrapping the yarn like this. So it's a much more, what's the word I want to use? It's a much more efficient style of knitting than having to stop and wrap and that sort of thing. And it's very ergonomically sensible for knitting. Here I was one of the co-chairs of the host committee for the joint conference, and I've been a knitter, as I said, for a long time, and we have a lot of knitters and crafters and crocheters in SAA, and I wanted a way for all of us to contribute in some way to charity, and SAA always does some sort of charitable function, normally related to an archival repository. And I said, let's see if we can get all the various knitters and crocheters together and participate in something, be it making chemo caps or knitting squares. And for people who are not confident knitters, knitting a square is very easy and very simple. Someone was talking earlier about the traditions of knitting, and it's a connection of, it's passing the history down. It's providing a connection between community and between history, and providing support to those who need it. And working with archival collections, you're providing that connection to the history. You're ensuring it's protected and preserved so that there's a connection to history now and in the future. Part of the reason I'm here is I work with the part of the library that's called educational it used to be called educational outreach, it's now called learning and innovation. And part of what we do is we help teachers learn how to use primary sources in the classroom. So there are a number of programs, including the RAO Unconference, which happened on Friday, and the RAO Marketplace of Ideas, where we participated and talked about our Teaching with Primary Sources network to help teachers collaborate with archivists and find out what resources are available out there. And also, I'm going to a lot of the sessions relating to disability awareness, because some of our partners are interested in ways to provide access to primary sources to people who are physically disabled. And I've also been going to some of the sessions on teaching with primary sources to see what some of the people around the United States are doing to help teachers access these collections or some of the issues that are involved. The session I'm most interested in is tomorrow, where people are talking about how maybe we shouldn't be using the term primary sources, and is this a problem that's impacting the archives community, and is it fair to the archival community to focus in on the issue of primary sources? I think it's the best way to classify. I've been involved with National History Day for a real long time, and have judged on the national and the state level, and it's the way that people understand these original documents and these original resources that and I don't know that people will understand the word archival. I think primary sources, and giving a definition of primary sources, talking about how the material was created at the time under study, is easier for teachers and for students to understand. A couple of talks relating to disability issues, and met the person who just created the disability section that SAA has now approved and started. I think that we need to know what the regulations are and know what technology is out there, especially if we're making collections accessible online. Because we don't necessarily make our websites usable by the visually impaired, and I notice sometimes it's very hard to find captions, that's what I'm looking for, so that someone that's hearing impaired can listen to something. In the actual repositories, I think ensuring that there's a space that someone can use that fits a wheelchair, has space. Also being patient, because some of these people are not going to be able to use these collections and may need support and guidance to use them well.